With only a few discarded foam boxes, I was able to turn a tiny area into product space for growing sweet potatoes. The harvest was much better than I expected. The method is but the results can be impressive. Follow along and I'll show you exactly how I grow sweet potatoes this way and the methods I use to get the best possible results. First, I'm going to prepare several old foam boxes to use as growing containers. I'll make a number of drainage holes in the bottom of each box so excess water can escape. Good drainage is important because it helps prevent waterlogging and root rot during the entire growing period. Next, I'll put the lid back on the box and cut a round opening in the top, about 6 centimeters in diameter. I'll also make several smaller holes along the sides of the box. These openings will be used later for planting the sweet potato vines. Inside the bottom of the box, I'll add a small amount of organic kitchen waste. This provides extra nutrients as it breaks down, while also helping improve drainage near the bottom of the container. After that, I'll add a small amount of well-aged cow manure. For the growing medium, I'll combine soil with rice husks. The rice husks help keep the mixtures loose while improving both aeration and drainage. I'll also mix in a small amount of phosphate fertilizer so the plants can develop their root systems and adjust more easily once rooting begins. When the foam box is completely filled with the soil mixture, I'll give it a light watering and place the lid back on. I'm also going to reuse some old 1.5-liter plastic bottles as direct fertilizer containers. I'll cut away part of each bottle cap, then make several small holes near the bottom of the bottle. Watching the process closely makes it easier to understand exactly how I prepare them. Once everything is ready, I'll place of these bottles inside the foam boxes. Now it's time to prepare the sweet potato vines. I'm going to choose mature, healthy vines and cut them into sections for planting. Each cutting should be approximately 5 centimeters long and contain 2 to 3 nodes. After the cuttings are planted, roots can develop from these nodes, allowing each plant to establish itself and continue growing. Before planting, I'll disinfect the cuttings. I'll mix a small amount of baking soda with water and soak the stems in the solution for about 1 minute. After that, there's nothing complicated left to do. I'll simply insert the cuttings in the prepared openings in the foam box and let them grow. About 5 days later, the small vines have already become noticeably longer. At this point, I'm going to build a horizontal bamboo trellis to support them. Keeping the vines elevated prevents them from making contact with the ground and producing additional roots outside the container. This allows the plants to direct more of their energy toward developing the sweet potato tubers inside the foam box. The trellis also keeps the leaves cleaner by reducing the amount of soil that can splash onto them during watering or rainfall. When the plants reach around 30 days of growth, I'll remove some of the older vines and leaves near the base. I'll also trim the growing tips of the vines so the plants don't spend too much energy producing long stems. For fertilizer, I'll use composted organic kitchen waste. Remember the plastic bottle that I placed in the center of the foam box earlier? Its purpose is to slow release nutrient directly in the growing container over time. I'm also beginning to notice flowers. A few small flower buds have started appearing along the vines. Now, I'm going to open the side of the foam box and check whether the sweet potatoes are ready to harvest. As soon as I cut into the box, I can already see several tubers growing right along the edge. There are many sweet potatoes packed closely together inside this small container. I'm going to harvest all of them now and bring them indoors for storage. Even with only a small amount of garden space, I was able to produce a large number of sweet potatoes, use simple materials that are commonly available around the garden. Next, I'm going to show you another way to grow sweet potatoes, this time using a long wooden growing frame. I've already prepared bamboo poles and assembled them into a frame that measures 2 meters long and 40 centimeters wide. The frame is only about 6 centimeters high, but that provides enough growing space for the sweet potatoes to develop properly and form tubers. I'll secure the entire structure firmly with steel wire. Once the frame is finished, I'm going to cover it with straw. There's a good reason for using straw here. Straw holds moisture extremely well and also helps keep the soil around the growing area cooler. Now I'll prepare the soil for this growing bed. Just as I did before, I'll mix the soil with rice husks and a small amount of cow manure. This makes the soil lighter and looser, while also increasing the amount of nutrients available to the plants. At the bottom of the growing bed, I'll lay down a layer of banana leaves to help improve drainage. Then I'll fill the entire frame with the prepared soil mixture. For this bed, I'm once again going to grow the sweet potatoes from vine cuttings. Each cutting is about 5 centimeters long and has 2 to 3 nodes. For this particular growing bed, I'll prepare approximately 10 small cuttings. I'll place each cutting in the soil and lightly cover it with a thin layer of soil. I'm planting 2 cuttings parallel to one another and space them evenly so every plant has enough room to develop. Once all the cuttings are in place, I'll water the bed lightly. This helps them settle in the soil and begin establishing their roots. 10 days later, I came back to check their progress. By then, plenty of young leaves had appeared, and I couldn't see any signs of problems. That told me the small sweet potato cuttings had successfully developed roots and were continuing to grow normally. By day 30, the difference was dramatic. The sweet potato vines had spread across the trellis, and the stems had become much longer. Young leaves had also grown densely enough to cover the surface of the soil. At this stage, I'll prepare another fertilizer mixture. Use crushed eggshells, fish fertilizer, and organic soil. The plants need additional nutrients now to support their continued growth, so applying fertilizer at the proper time helps produce the best results. After 50 days, the vines have grown even longer and are spreading far beyond the edges of the frame. I can all see that flower buds are beginning to form. There are even a few caterpillars feeding on the leaves, so I need to do some pruning. I'll remove some of the vines as well as the yellowing leaves. Clearing away these older leaves improves airflow around the growing bed and reduces the number of places where pests and diseases can hide. I'll also add a little more straw around the bamboo frame. This helps keep the soil securely contained inside the growing area. After more than 3 months, I came back again to inspect the plants. By this point, the pest had completely disappeared. The leaves looked lush and green, while the vines were strong and healthy. Now it's finally time to harvest the sweet potatoes and see the results after 3 months of growth. I was surprised by how large and even developed the sweet potatoes had become. There were also a few small tubers that were still growing. However, if I left the crop in the bed much longer, the larger sweet potatoes would become over-mature and wouldn't taste as good. By using the available space efficiently and preparing everything carefully from the very beginning, I barely needed to put much effort in the plants during the rest of the growing period. In return, I was able to harvest a large amount of sweet potatoes. If you found this video useful, please give a like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.